This is a film study look to focus at the various techniques and concepts that Clint Kubiak has had Sam Darnold try to execute through 4 weeks, as Seattle was averaging almost 28 points per game. I think it's their highest scoring output from a per game average since 2020, when they were up above 28.7. Sam Darnold's completing 70% of his passes, a really high efficiency rating, especially when throwing to Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's having a really spectacular start to the season. I'm going to focus on multiple different concepts in a chronological fashion. So we'll go through week 1, 2, 3, and 4. So these will not be aggregated or separated at all in terms of under center, shotgun, play action, boot stuff. They'll all be mixed in together, and I'll try to provide as much information as possible for each particular play. Begin with week 1, and he's in a shotgun. I love a lot of this stuff that Kubiak is having him do where the running back is motioning out. Creates an empty set. Had a really great example of it against Arizona from an under center standpoint. It was the first quarter touchdown to the tight end Barner. But in this case, it's a shotgun, and you will see a number of completions to JSN in this video for multiple reasons. Number one, he's at 76.5 completion percentage when throwing to JSN. Number two, I just got done with doing a JSN video, so a lot of these, were readily organized and available. I do like having JSN and Cooper Kupp on the same side, or at least located close to one another. Basically, putting them in the read and forcing defenses to account for both of them. Here you've got essentially a 4/3 for the defense, 4 for the 49ers over JSN, Kupp, and then the running back Walker, who motioned out. Quick completion to JSN. Not only is he great at getting himself open, making the catch, converting at a high efficiency percentage so far this year, 76.5%, like I said, but he's great at protecting himself, basically removing himself from harm's way, catching the ball and getting down as quickly as possible, or spinning out of the way of an oncoming safety or linebacker. Darnold is making quick decisions, in my opinion. He's very efficient with his reads. His steps are generally really good from what I know about quarterback steps. It doesn't really matter who he's throwing to in Darnold's mind. In my opinion, he appears comfortable throwing to whoever. Whatever the read is, it just so happens that so far in 2025, whenever he throws to JSN, he's absolutely wide open, or at least he's converting at a ridiculously high rate. Seattle's 3-1 heading into a matchup against the Bucs, who just had a really tough game against the Eagles. Quite obviously, it's a different type of offense that the Bucs will be facing. I expect them to bring heavy pressure. In a lot of these clips that you're seeing, Darnold's getting a 4-man pass rush against him. Really great throw to Cooper Kupp here over the middle from the slot. That safety who's spot shadowed up at the top side of the screen, threatening a blitz, actually is the guy who delivers a huge blow on Kupp after he catches this football over the middle. Give the end zone angle so you can see just how quickly Darnold gets through these reads. A couple of the plays that we're talking about here, regardless of what week they're from, you can see free rushers, and Darnold is just getting rid of the ball really quickly before oncoming rushers can even get near him. In this case, it's not a free rusher. Defensive tackle / defensive end gets there quickly. And look at the window that really Darnold doesn't have. That's about as well covered as you can get at any level of football. And he's able to give Cooper Kupp an opportunity to catch the football, turn and protect himself from, like I said, that oncoming safety who was threatening a blitz before the snap. Kupp may not have the production and numbers that the JSN has, or even many other receivers around the league, but I will say this: I expect him to be big in high pressure situations. Number one, number two, all of the guys that are getting high targets, Arroyo, Barner, JSN, Horton, they've made impact plays so far through 4 weeks. JSN only has 1 touchdown. I absolutely think that number is going to get up to 7, 8, 9, or 10 by the end of the season. It's a complete offense from a personnel standpoint, and I think Kubiak's got a great idea of how to utilize their individual skills on different pass concepts. Here's a 3rd and 3 from the third quarter. Seattle's trying to add to their lead, and it's an empty set. So 3 to the bottom and 2 to the boundary up at the top. You got chip release here up at the top side, so at least it looks like 6-man protection initially. And this is going to be a great scramble by Darnold. He's far more agile in terms of his awareness and ability to move around in the pocket and escape pressure or escape problems than many of us expected, myself included. This is who the pass is going to be completed to, JSN, and I think there's a really interesting layer here. Actually, two factors, I should say. So as he gets out of the pocket to the right and he's looking for someone to be available, you're going to have a receiver, I'm not sure who it is, who's going to bring this defender to the bottom of the screen. And Darnold's going to be able to throw the ball behind that defender to JSN. Just a really unique situation. Weird angle, perhaps, for the way that this works out, with Darnold moving to his right, throwing it against the flow of his body to JSN near the right hash. Another third down. This one's with the score 10-10 tie, and it's going to be a completion to Cooper Kupp. It is slightly short, but what I like about a lot of these speed outs, even though this one's from almost a stacked alignment, is that Darnold must have a great understanding of the coverage and get rid of things quickly. Look, this is a free rusher for San Francisco who is not able to get there before Darnold delivers the football. You see a lot of these situations where there's a free rusher either off the edge or through an inside gap that's able to force a fumble on the quarterback on the throw, or at times just knock the ball out of their hands and not even give the receiver an opportunity to make the catch. In this case, I think it was a 6-yard gain to Kupp that leads to a field goal that gives Seattle a 13-10 lead. This dynamic kind of repeats itself multiple times over the course of the 4 games, or at least 3 of them, and that is Darnold getting the ball to JSN in the fourth quarter in high-pressure situations. In this case, they're down 17-13 to the 49ers. I'm going to get 2 more targets of JSN. This one a little bit of a curl, and they make great use of these types of concepts, to the boundary especially. With JSN as the outside receiver, curling in behind the curl flat defender. Now, I recognize that not all of these iterations is the curl flat defender even playing zone, and that reference curl flat does reflect, or at least talk about his zone coverage. But in this case, he's able to spin behind the curl flat defender, essentially a second-level defender who's responsible for the first outcut. We're talking about this inside linebacker, the will, here to the boundary. 4-man rush for the 49ers, and I'm wondering if teams like the Bucs, the Jags, and others aren't seeing Darnold get rid of the ball so fast from a 4-man rush that it might negate or remove the option to bring 5 or 6 more often. Basically, I think Darnold and Kubiak are absolutely on the same page, as well as the quarterback coach, in terms of matching up the scheme or the concept that's being called and what Darnold is seeing pre-snap that gives him a great idea of the way the coverage is going to shake out once the ball is snapped. One more time from this game, and it's going to be JSN up the left sideline. So similar to the route last week against Arizona in overtime, to avoid overtime when the score was 20-20, and JSN catches the ball for a 22-yard gain and gets out of bounds to preserve that final timeout. In addition to that, it happened against the Steelers late in the fourth quarter. Basically, I think the idea is JSN has softened these guys up with maybe shorter routes, in cuts, out breaking routes, and then wins deep, it seems like, later in the game. This one thrown out in front perfectly, and I like the trajectory here. Try to slow it down so you can see it. This is a rifle. This is not a high arcing throw. He's getting this out in front, but he's got the right touch on it to get it to JSN in a perfect spot to allow him to continue to run on top of it. Like I said, in a situation where they're down by 4 in the fourth quarter. Moving on to week 2, and we're going to have multiple third downs here, again involving a lot of JSN. I tried to include other players as best I could. Cooper Kupp here and the tight end are going to chip release out of this empty set. And one more in cut for JSN. Again, as soon as he clears this second-level defender, that's when JSN brings the route into the inside. And there's a layer to this design that I really want to point out and talk about. Yeah, it's a near fumble for JSN, but it has to do with these 2 routes down here at the bottom side of the screen. I think this is all for JSN, meaning the Seahawks knew the coverage, or at least had a really good idea. And because you're getting 2 verticals down here, if JSN's able to catch the ball in stride and get away from the oncoming safety, we're talking about right here, look at all the space that's been created for JSN to run onto by these 2 vertical concepts. That's one thing I want to mention for Kubiak's passing tree or passing concepts is I think there's built-in yards after catch opportunities that really complement the players, mostly JSN, at least so far. Another one complete to JSN. This one's on a 3rd and 10. And they're really putting this second-level defender in conflict by the tight ends route. I think it's Barner. And then JSN, a little quick slant, skinny slant, if you will, from the slot. Darnold is already getting rid of the football and basing his reaction or his throw off of the second-level defender who's over top of the tight end. Ramsey, to me, did not really seem to want to get pressed up on top of JSN. Didn't think that perhaps he could deal with the long speed and or the agility, ability to change directions by JSN. Quick completion, and there's the second-level defender that I said I believe was put in conflict by the tight end's route, and then the skinny slant from JSN. I don't know what Darnold's release time is so far this year, his average release time or his quickest, but to me it's got to be among the best in the league. It's definitely among the best that I get an opportunity to see because he's making quick decisions, definitely recognizing the defense that is shown. And to be honest with you, leading into the Tampa Bay game, the Bucs are a team that generally, in the last 3 or 4 years, has shown you their coverage. They're oftentimes going to play the coverage that is shown pre-snap, and you're just going to have to beat them. I think that sets up well for Sam Darnold as long as the offensive line and the pass protection can hold up. Touchdown to Horton that obviously targets Jalen Ramsey, but also I think really just puts these 3 defensive backs, the 2 corners and the safety, in a lot of conflict. Deep crossers with JSN going underneath and then Horton going over the top. There's only so many guys to defend here, so the safety, the third player for the Steelers, he can't defend both of these routes, and in this case, Darnold lets it shake out. Solid pass protection is the key, in my opinion, to getting the ball downfield against some of these teams that want to play man-to-man but do it from a one-high safety structure and with off coverage. I think Kubiak's offensive scheme is really going to take advantage of teams that want to play off coverage from a one-high safety structure, generally to try to get that 8th defender into or near the box to stop the run. Darnold did take a pretty big shot. Horton's first touchdown of the season. I think they get things done against multiple teams this year in the pass game, downfield. It doesn't look like to me the type of dynamic that's going to disappear for Seattle's offense, meaning it's very intentional for Kubiak to try to get the ball downfield, whether it's 12 personnel, 21, which changes obviously when Utz is not available like he wasn't last week, or 11 personnel. Fourth quarter of the same game, and of course, like clockwork, it's a vertical down the left sideline to JSN. Now, he does bring this route kind of in towards the middle of the field. It's against Jalen Ramsey. Off coverage again, really just runs right by him. And I think Zabel is the guy who's trying to hold up here and prevent the defensive tackle from getting his hand up and possibly knocking the ball down. I will give the end zone angle to the same place so you can see it. It's a clutch moment, man, if you ask me. Allows Seattle to go down and get up 31-17 after a 43-yard gain. It was the third down touchdown run by Kenneth Walker III that really finished him off. The same dynamic or the same element has occurred 3 times thus far. 49ers, Steelers, and the Cardinals that we'll show you back again in a moment. Same play from the end zone angle. Ball is on the left hash. And it's going to be a max pro situation off of a play fake. So the running back, Charbonnet, is going to peel back along with the fullback and the tight end who went in motion. So it leaves Zabel pretty much one-on-one with this nose tackle to try to hold him off, fight for space. You do also have the over concept from Cooper Kupp, but Darnold seems very comfortable throwing the ball deep to JSN, in particular in the fourth quarter. Really great view of the throw, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys know this or not. First of all, I did a JSN video a couple of days ago. Feel free to check it out if you want to. I'll link it up in the description. But he's leading the NFL in yards per touch, which is pretty amazing. He's ahead of guys like Jamar Chase and others at the receiver position. I think 14.2 yards per touch so far. I got 4 more plays to go through here, but I do want to point out that there's so much variety to what Darnold is executing right now. That's part of the impetus for this video, is that he's at 70% completion percentage for the year overall, but it's on a variety of concepts or styles of offense, if you will. Under center play action, under center play action boot moving out to his left. I actually could have put 3 or more throws in here, but I wanted to limit this to 15. Straight drop back out of under center, and then shotgun stuff as well. A couple of plays look like pseudo RPOs. I don't think Darnold is obviously a big threat to keep the ball on any option situations, but the versatility with which he's operating, it isn't all just under center play action. And I have to tell you that that's the same mantra I heard about Jared Goff for 2 or 3 years under Ben Johnson, is he's only benefiting from under center play action stuff. It wasn't the case then with Goff, and it's certainly not now with Sam Darnold. All right, we've reached week 4 film, and this is a kind of an overarching type of concept for Seattle, and that's empty formations. It could be under center, it could be out of the shotgun, like I showed you earlier on a completion to JSN in week 1. This is, of course, the first touchdown that's going to go to Barner. It's a really great job of keeping the base defense on the field for Arizona and then attacking the inside linebacker to the boundary, the will linebacker. So by stretching the running back out here, motioning to him to that wide alignment, Darnold has gained some pre-snap information with the mic expanding, and then once again, a one-high look for the defense. Barner's route is taking him to the sideline, essentially switching with the outside receiver, Cooper Kupp, and Darnold knows he's got man, middle of the field free safety, in no position to defend this. This is a really easy throw, and credit to Kubiak for creating these situations, highly repeatable if you ask me, for Darnold to access. They took a 7-3 lead here, but really kind of showed that they could manipulate Arizona's defense out of 12 personnel. Same play from the end zone angle, and this late motion by the running back kind of stretches the mic out, moves him out. They stay in a one-high safety look, so Darnold has gained all the information he needs, if you ask me, to target Barner into the boundary. Super easy touchdown, like I said. I do think the running back either wide alignment or late motion stuff is really interesting. I'd like to perhaps later this week, get out a standalone video on that. I always just run out of time, to be honest with you. I did last week with a couple of other videos that I wanted to get produced. The reason why I like it so much is because I feel like it's giving the quarterback the final nail in the coffin as far as information to absolutely know the coverage that's coming and just confirm for him before he begins his drop, or before the ball is snapped, I should say, that he's got the exact coverage that the offensive coordinator just told him in his headset, or in his helmet headset, that he was going to get. Fourth quarter here on a 2nd and 10, and this is going to be a really nice job of attacking into the boundary. I call this 3 to the boundary. So the running back on a little short out route, Arroyo on a slightly deeper one, essentially levels to the boundary or levels out, and then JSN on a deeper curl concept. Very similar to what I talked about earlier. As soon as the second level defender, it's actually a safety here. As soon as JSN clears him, then he curls his route to the inside. It's a 3-on-3 to the boundary. So from a spatial awareness standpoint, Darnold's got great numbers. You've got 3 defenders for 3 receivers. Budda Baker would be the oncoming 4th defender potentially. JSN catches it underneath, tries to get some yards after the catch. This was one that had a really weird spot, if you ask me. I think it went for like 11 yards. So watch what happens here with this inside linebacker. I think technically it's the Mike in their defense, but he's set away from the tight end, so I understand some people are going to call him the will. Usually, just so you know, the will linebacker is set into the boundary. But in any case, post-snap, the first thing Darnold does is look to his left. It's very quick. It's very subtle. And that, to me, is what kind of moves this linebacker over. So just like the previous play I showed you, the touchdown to Barner, you had the running back, late motion, moving the mic out of there. In this case, it's post-snap look by Darnold, moving number 2, who then tries to kind of recover and get to the middle of the field. It didn't necessarily matter. I don't think he was going to be in this lane. I'm just trying to point out some of the small things to you that I notice. But once again, like I've said in other videos, if you're looking for the highest level quarterback analysis, don't come here to me for it. There's guys that do it a whole lot better than me. I will say this. Darnold is worthy of people talking about already. No idea how he's going to play in week 5, but so far 70% passing, clean, even 70 of 100, by the way. 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's at career highs for multiple statistical categories, but 2 of which he's actually leading the NFL. 9.1 yards per attempt and 12.9 yards per catch. I believe those are both number 1 in the NFL, but feel free to let me know if I'm incorrect there in the comment section. Finally, 2 more throws against the Cardinals during the 23-20 This is late in the game, fourth quarter, after Arizona has already closed to within 7 points. And you're going to get 3 to the boundary one more time. It's a little bit different angle for us. This time, instead of levels out, it's going to be levels in. 2 wide receivers into the boundary is very Rams-esque. And when I say that, what I mean is JSN and Cooper Kupp lined up into the boundary, typically in 11 personnel settings or groupings. The tight end is set into the boundary. They kind of tell you, hey, this is a pass play when they put their 2 best receivers to the boundary. Stutter here by JSN. And then at the same time that he's stuttering is when Darnold is looking to that side. Great timing. If you ask me, great design. JSN gets Max Melton to stop his feet briefly and then take off running. It's a beautiful throw, man. I mean, perfectly timed. And again, great trajectory and pace on the ball. When all of those things align, right? Location or accuracy, trajectory, and then pace, then you've got a great throw. And Darnold's put up a number of them this year. Only been sacked so far 6 times, I think, through 4 games. Now, 3 of those occurred in week 1. Only 1 last week against Arizona, who's got some pretty talented players up front, obviously, in Calais Campbell and Sweat. In this case, Darnold's not able to necessarily step into the throw perfectly, but when he's targeting JSN this year, like I said earlier, 26 of 31 for 76.5% completion percentage. Sounds great. But that just means he's 44 of 66 to everyone else. That's still 66 or rounded up to 67%. So it's not only JSN that he's been extremely efficient when attempting to get him the football. It's just that he's the best so far that Seattle has got. This is, of course, the final play, and this will be JSN's wonderful 22-yard catch. I don't think this one's been covered well enough, probably by myself, but also multiple other people that try to cover the game of football. So I can't really draw the route the way that it is accurate because I only have so much space down here. So this route is not really accurate. Really, the throw and the catch, I think, is doing its own justice. Darnold knows who to go to in space, number 1. Number 2, JSN understands the situation and is looking back for the football already. Knows how to elevate, make the catch, and then spin and get out of bounds. I just think it's a wonderful play that really illustrates, the high level that he's playing at, number 1. Number 2, the trust that Darnold has in him. And it's the third iteration where we see Darnold getting him the football down the left sideline in the fourth quarter when either they're trying to add to the score, like against like against the Steelers in the fourth quarter, or when they're trying to win the game here against Arizona, or come back from a deficit like against San Francisco. Unfortunate that Seattle wasn't able to get a win in that week 1 home bout. To win, because if they had been able to get a win, then the Seahawks could be sitting here at 4-0. I think Sam Darnold is worthy of more attention based on the way he's playing. Kubiak's offense is certainly giving him a lot of designed opportunities. I don't want to say easy completions, but he's finding out information either pre-snap with the way the defense lines up, and then just before the snap, based upon late motion, or in at least one of the slight little movements of his head that I showed you in this video, getting a defender to move and kind of open up a lane a little bit more, just because of his understanding of how his movement, how his face mask and his helmet looking to one side briefly can move a defender, or at least open up the lane a little bit more than perhaps it should have been. I think Seattle's off to a great start offensively. Like I said, it's the highest scoring offense, I believe, that they've had in Seattle since 2020, when they went 12-4 under Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. If you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section. 15 plays from Sam Darnold, 15 pass plays, I should say, from Sam Darnold. Not sure I'll do one every week, but generally I'm going to try to do my quarterback film study videos on Thursdays. Of course, this is not Thursday, but keep in mind, Seattle played on Thursday night. So the way I look at it, this is either actually a day late or right on time. I'm going to try to get quarterback film studies out on Lamar Jackson when he's healthy. He's actually out at this point in time for a couple of weeks, if not more. Jared Goff and Sam Darnold, because they're three different guys, three different quarterbacks playing in different systems. And hopefully it makes me a better analyst, number one, and gives you guys opportunities to give me feedback on what you enjoy about the videos and the plays that I chose to break down and what you did not. Nonetheless, if you think other Seahawks fans would enjoy my thoughts on some of Sam Darnold's play this year and what Kubiak's asking him to do, and then also the plays that I chose to kind of illustrate it, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.